Hey y'all, hey Matrix Live. I'm here with a whole crowd of people. So from the from the top as I can see them, we've got Nico. Hi.
That's me.
That's you, Nico from Neko. We've got Andrew, who is a
Yeah.
hello, and we've got Callum, who's a new Jack, who is he's on the GSOC program. For those of you who don't know, I'm guessing a lot of people who listen to this will already know. GSOC is Google Summer of Code. Google Summer of Code. It is yay! Yeah, I've got that T-shirt too. It is a long-running Google program. It lasts about 20 times as long as your average Google Chat product, and it concerns basically paying for internships for a given summer. And this summer we have 7. Count them. 7 GSOC students, of which Callum is one, and he's going to talk about his project, and we're going to question him and see how he's getting on. So, hi, Callum. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Callum. I'm living in London. Just finished my A levels a couple of months ago. Gonna be doing physics next year.
Super. Where are you going to study?
Hopefully Bristol.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's
Depends
cool.
on results day stuff.
When is the results day? We don't want to press you.
In a month. Normally.
In a month, okay, cool. And you've timed that quite nicely because the pandemic will be over by the time you start university, which is quite a relief. Yeah. All right. So why don't you tell us about your project? Actually, you know what? If you could tell us how you got involved with Matrix and what made you decide to apply to Matrix as your GSOC study.
Yeah, well, I think I was looking for kind of alternative, like free open source alternatives to stuff like WhatsApp, and Matrix kind of topped out the list when I tried it. And then I set up kind of home server for me and family. But then coming into the GSOC thing, I wanted to kind of have a way to let people register accounts more easily without me having to kind of create them or open registrations to the public.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of why I applied to GSOC in the first place, is I wanted to do this thing.
So that's superb. So you had a very specific itch that you needed. It wasn't that you wanted to do a project. You needed this feature, and you've even found a way to fund it and get support from the Matrix team themselves in various guises.
It's worked out quite well.
That's an unusually good instance of a GSOC project, actually. I like that a lot. So
Well, it wasn't like we proposed the project. It was something he came up with and said, "Hey, can anyone mentor that?" And it's just that it aligned with the interest I had, and probably also with Andrew. And
superb. All right, I'm very. I didn't realize that things had been so well, even though I'd already heard this before. All right, so what is token-based registration? Why would we want that?
So basically, at the moment, if you're running a Matrix server, you can either, well, with Synapse at least, you can open registrations completely to anyone, or close them off so only the admin can register accounts.
Right.
So then if you want to kind of give someone an account on your server, you've got to do it manually and then set kind of default password and stuff, and then kind of it's a bit clunky to get someone kind of set up with it. So the idea is to have registrations allowed, but require people to authenticate themselves with a token that the administrator provides.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you can kind of control who is allowed to have an account on your server.
So are these single-use tokens, or is it like a voucher code? Is it like a coupon?
So the tokens, I think, are left up to the server to decide how many times they can be used or whether they expire. So at the moment, with my implementation in Synapse, I've got it so you can set it as single use or have multiple uses.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's talk about the Synapse part. Synapse is everything open source, of course, but it's not the easiest thing to necessarily get started with. And I think Andrew was able to support you there. How was it getting started with this Synapse code base?
It was a bit slow to start with, kind of getting everything running as well. Mostly getting the kind of tests running and passing was the slowest bit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too bad in the end.
So what's the status of the server-side work now?
So that's going quite well, I think. I've kind of done most stuff on that apart from the admin API to let you manage the tokens. So it does kind of work.
And did this need some spec work as well? It did?
Yep, so I wrote the MSC for it.
Nice.
So you can go probably have a look at that if you want.
Yeah, okay.
And
is that MSC, I presume that MSC isn't merged yet? This is implemented pre-merge? Yeah.
Implementations aren't finished yet.
Right.
So.
Quite right.
But you need an implementation anyway to get a MSC passed. So.
Exactly, right. That's true. Cool. So I brought Andrew in. I don't know if Andrew, you wanted to comment on the work so far on the server?
It's going really well. I'm quite impressed, to be honest. Yeah, he's already gone ahead and done pretty much everything except the admin API side of things, and it's been all ticking along according to the GSOC schedule, which is great.
Which is reduced this time around, isn't it? Previously it was 350 hours. Now it's 175 hours, although I'm sure Google understand that students will work when they work and not work when they don't work. So counting hours is not a massive part of it.
Yeah, precisely. But I think this particular project has lent itself well to the GSOC structure, which is where you will implement a project, which doesn't take too long, but you do have stretch goals just in case you want to go further. And yeah, we seem to be on time, and I'm reviewing things as they come in. And yeah, I mean, the admin API itself has already got a design going, and we're talking about it in our room and in Synapse Dev, the open public room as well. And yeah.
What are the stretch goals for the server part of this project, if any?
Well, the kind of at the moment it's with the admin API, which doesn't exist yet, is to have kind of pagination and a nicer way to specify expiry time with like a date. Because at the moment it uses milliseconds since the start of the Unix epoch, which is not that easy. So.
Yeah, I'm constantly date R in the terminal. That's my that's my daily go-to for that. Cool. All right. So what are the next steps after this? I guess the client is the main thing. And before we get into the details there, I'd like to understand why Synapse and Neko. Obviously, that's like Nico and many others' daily driver. But will this be applicable to other clients? Why was Neko the first choice?
Well, I chose Neko really because that's what I use on my desktop, and also Nico is quite enthusiastic about the project.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it will come to Element and stuff with the other clients at some point, but maybe a bit more slowly.
Fair enough. I mean, you've got to scratch your own itch. That is the best type of development, is to write.
It's also not that every client needs to implement it, because the registration stuff has a fallback, so you can then get a fallback page where you need to enter the code. It's obviously not as nice, but it works.
Gotcha.
So it would be supported with all clients. It's just that the MSC needs an implementation somewhere that's a bit nicer, that shows that the client endpoints work.
This is great. I love the fact that this is happening on a non-element client first. I think that actually is a really lovely sign for the MSC process that the stuff's going on, and the fact that MSCs are coming via GSOC is actually really, really cool too. All right, let's get into concrete then. What are the steps for implementation on Neko? So are we going to you're going to support the client stuff, the CS API stuff, meaning handling the tokens. Are you going to support the admin API stuff too?
In Neko, I don't think so.
No. Okay. So what are the steps for the CS API?
So that will be well, when the client kind of makes a request to the register endpoint to work out the flows you need to complete the user interactive authentication. Then one of these steps will be a new authentication type, which the MSC has defined. And so basically it needs to know how to handle that type. So just be kind of adding a text box to let people enter in their token.
Gotcha.
And then we'll just click through like normal and get to the homepage.
Super. All right, cool. And is this on schedule for the end of the summer? Sounds like it is.
So, yeah, I can't remember exactly what my plan was, but I think I'm maybe a week or two ahead of what I said.
Super.
So.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. And actually, I've got, I do know people who would have benefited from this exact feature. And as you say, the workflow of setting up an account manually, creating a default password, and then handing out all that over to somebody. It's just a slight unpleasant step in a new user's onboarding, especially on a new platform that they're already maybe not totally confident in. So yeah, this kind of thing is exactly what we need to help with onboarding.
And if you want people to actually change their password, you need to reset it properly so that they need to change it on login, and then this doesn't work in all clients. And
Right.
in general, if someone didn't propose it to do it for me, I would have probably implemented that myself. But now I got someone else to do it for me, which is
Exactly.
awesome.
Exactly, on Google's dime. All right, guys, this has been actually really interesting, and I'm glad to hear that the progress has been so clean and the process has gone so well. Is there anything else anybody wanted to add?
Do you want to say about why doing this when there are already existing projects?
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Questions asked.
Okay, so there are a couple alternatives already that kind of have this problem in mind, like say matrix registration that has a kind of its own web interface and managing tokens, and then it uses Synapse's admin API for registration. And there's also Midnight, which kind of handles the whole register endpoint, and is kind of similar to using the interactive authentication stuff, but both of them kind of require extra setup on the part of the administrators, which is not ideal, and also they're not kind of integrated with the clients yet. So there's a bit of a disconnect between using your token and then getting into the chat.
Yeah. So again, you're back to the same problems of onboarding for unfamiliar users, and also having it first party as part of the spec is a big strength too.
In the end, we probably can all remember how hard it is to get your friends to join you on Matrix, and everything to reduce that friction helps. So having something like that integrated should help a lot.
Totally, absolutely, definitely. I mean, we need to see this supported in mobile clients as well. But as you say, there's always the fallback for because like normies, they just use their phone. That's how people work. Yeah, it's the way it is. All right. Thank you all. Super. Thanks, Matrix Live. Bye.
See ya.
See you guys.